Hey team, welcome to Colbyashi Maru, the show where devs around the world boldly face off against the most logical tools of the web. I'm Colby Fayok, your Space Jelly commander and host of today's challenge. Today we have Tadas Petra. Tadas is a content creator and a developer evangelist at Agora. You can find him on YouTube where he does a ton of work with Flutter. So let's bring him in.
Hello, everybody.
Tadas, do you want to give you a quick introduction? Anything you'd like to add to what I already said?
You guys pretty much nailed it. I'm a developer evangelist at Agora. I just started this week, so I'm not like a professional on that yet. But I have been making YouTube videos for a little over a year on my channel, and then I have most of it's focused on Flutter. So here I am trying to make challenge myself with the Flutter project.
Wow, it's only been like a little over a year. You're already at like 14,000 subscribers. It's amazing growth.
Yeah, my first video came out January 15th, 2020. So
Wow, that's awesome.
yeah,
Right before everything started to go to,
yeah.
but cool. So if you're new to Colbyashi Maru, our guest will have 1 hour to complete the challenge. Through that time, Tadas will try to talk out loud as he's working through the challenge. I'll also be asking questions along the way. So if you have a question, make sure to ask in the chat and I'll definitely field them over to Tadas. So today he'll face off against building a notes app with authentication using Flutter. If Tadas doesn't finish the challenge, all is not lost. We'll see how much time we have left and maybe we'll finish up a little bit. Otherwise, we'll kind of chat about what the next steps would be. So Tadas, do you want to talk a little bit more about the tools just a little bit before we actually start to dive in?
Sure. So with Flutter, there's not a whole bunch of languages you need to know. It's just pretty much Flutter, and then we're going to be using Firebase as the backend. Those two kind of go hand in hand. They're both Google products. It's both pretty simple to use, I think, for the most part, and they work really well together. And that's pretty much it. There's nothing else.
Cool. Okay, that sounds good. So yeah, if you're ready to go, I think we can get started. Sound good?
Yep.
I'm gonna pull up your screen and make sure I have the timer, and hopefully my timer start works. And we're off.
All right. So let's get started. So this is, I guess the other tools I'm using is VS Code and an emulator, but the actual technologies is just Flutter and Firebase. First thing I like to do is remove all the comments, and this is just a very basic app that you get whenever you create any Flutter project. I haven't done anything to it except add in Firebase. Just to be fully like transparent, to do that, you would add an app here, and Firebase kind of leads you through all the steps you need. It ends up being stuff like there's only a couple steps. You need to add this Google Services info.plist file. You need to update one file. Where's the app delegate.swift? You need to add import Firebase here, configure Firebase, and then do this pod install to install all this stuff so that you can run on an iOS device.
So when you spin up a new Flutter project, you literally get this entire thing like scaffolded for you when you spin up a new project?
This is the very basic.
That's amazing. Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's like when you create a project, it automatically creates this, and like, yeah, I really like it. It's pretty,
That's
like,
pretty
it has all the basic stuff in there that you need in kind of a working counter app.
Right.
So that's what we're going to start with. So this is, if you've ever worked with Flutter, this is what you get. The only thing done here is Firebase is initialized, because, man, sometimes I run into problems that take forever. So I just didn't want to have that happen live.
Totally understand it.
All right. So I guess I'll just get started. Fastest way to learn all this stuff is there's a FlutterFire documentation. FlutterFire, let's see. Yeah, firebase.flutter.dev. This is all the Firebase documentation you'll need. We're going to be using authentication, and you can just go to the docs here and then see all that stuff over here. Just put it to dark mode because we're developers.
Always.
So it goes through the installation too. If the Firebase one isn't clear enough, it's not too bad. It's just sometimes annoying for iOS specifically. For Android, it's a piece of cake always. But we're gonna need authentication because we're gonna be authenticating the app, and then we're going to need Cloud Firestore because we're gonna be storing our notes inside Cloud Firestore. So let me see. They have. We're also going to need the core package. I think that's just initializes Firebase overall. And they have a little. I know they have a little nice way to initialize your projects and everything.
Is there a CLI that they allow you to do that kind of stuff with? Is that what you?
I don't think so yet.
No.
They might be planning on it, but I don't think it's here yet. I know. So I've used AWS, and they have a nice CLI that does everything for you. But
is that the Amplify?
Yeah.
I still have yet to use that.
Oh, here it is. All right. So they have this nice way to initialize a project. If we go here, so I guess maybe I'll cover a little bit if you're completely new to Flutter. Here's how Flutter App works, like the very basics. So you have a main, which is the entry point of the app, and all you do there is just run your application. Our application is going to be called My App. There's two types of widgets that you can have. There's stateless and stateful widgets. So kind of like it sounds, one of them holds state that you can manage, and then the other one just for show, I guess. So this is a stateless widget, pretty much just nothing changes inside the specific one, but it displays for you the home page. And we can actually remove all this stuff. It's just kind of distracting. Doesn't really add anything.
Get some of that boilerplate out of the way.
Yeah. And then we got this title that they pass in. It's just the title at the top. Colbyashi. Did I spell that right?
Let's see. Yep, that looks good to me.
All right. And then, yeah, so that's just the title at the top. You save it, and it automatically puts it in there. You can see it update. Some people get really excited about that when they first see it. So this is just, it goes to your homepage directly now. What we're going to do is we're going to have it check whether it should go to the login page or the homepage first. And we can actually separate the files out. I like to make things very organized within my library folder. The library folder is like the main folder for any Flutter project. So let's create a pages folder.
So I'm guessing most Flutter projects kind of follow a really similar pattern since it starts off like for file structure and stuff, because it kind of gives you a lot of that.
There's different people have like different ways they like to do things, but for the most part, they're all, similar enough.
Yeah.
But I have my specific way to do things, and I don't know how many people follow it, but there's like, there's like the whole MVC, MVVM strategies, all that stuff, and you would separate it out in different ways, but I like to keep it simple.
For sure.
So yeah, we have our home page, and then we'll have like a login page as well. That'll probably be a stateful widget because we're going to need state to hold like the username and the password. All right. So that's just kind of organizing a little bit. We haven't really done anything yet. But here's the initialization part. So I'll just copy, paste this into here. Before we actually get to that, we need to add some dependencies. So we're going to need the Firebase core dependency, Firebase auth dependency, and is it Firestore or Cloud Firestore? Cloud Firestore. All right. So there, now we add those dependencies in. We're going to have to restart the app. But now we'll have the capabilities to actually use this stuff.
If you wanted to, are you able to see both the iOS and, or rather, like, are you able to switch to the Android? You don't have to do it, but if you wanted to, are you also able to? That's cool.
Yeah, definitely. You can have, I've seen people run like Android device, an iOS device, a website, a Mac OS desktop app all at the same time. And I've tried before. It works fine, it seems. So like, yeah, you could be developing and see the updates in all four of those, but that's a bit unnecessary.
Yeah.
Ah, no. Something
It's funny
happened.
though how I used to. I don't know if you've ever heard of like a device farm. Like, at least people used to like they'll have a lab or a device lab where they would have all their physical devices out with the to sync those things up.
I never had to do that, but usually what I do, like, because I mean it's important to like be responsive and stuff. I like to develop in the Mac OS because you can resize the window as much as you want.
Yeah.
But I also haven't used that much, and I know Firebase can be a little glitchy with that sometimes. We saw that error over there was because some of the Firebase packages they don't work in the older. Well, depending which version you have, they don't work in the older iOS platforms. So we updated it to be iOS 13. Oof, tough.
Ah.
This is why I should have done even more setting up. All right. Let's see if I can fix this.
It's not a challenge without some errors, right?
Yeah. Housing workspace. Especially the Firebase one gets a little annoying sometimes, but so I installed something. Let's see. Fingers crossed. Damn. If anything, we'll switch to the Android one. That one works well all the time.
You
Generate.
think the simulator needs to be rebooted or something?
I would guess it's.
I don't know. Just
that, yeah.
thrown out in the air.
Let's see what Google says. The go-to. Fatal error module cloud Firestore not found. It's going to be some pod issue. I can guarantee that. Flutter clean. All right. This is the big issue I usually have. Like all the dependencies for iOS are just a pain to deal with.
It's a rough. Yeah, I don't know if you've done too much in the web world, but npm packages, I'm sure same kind of stumbling. Got to clean them every once in a while.
Yeah. All right, we're installing something.
Looks like it has to go through and download everything again.
Yeah. That's okay. Maybe it'll work though.
Yeah. What do you typically just when you build apps, do you just set them up and deploy them like to all the different platforms, or do you typically like to deploy to certain platforms?
Like you mean like it actually releasing them to the app stores and stuff, or?
Yeah.
So I don't actually have any currently released, but I've released a lot of apps to the beta stage, but then they never actually made it to the fully working like production level yet.
Yeah.
But I feel like if you're building a mobile application, a lot of people suggest to make it iOS first. So that's probably what I would do because I don't know, it seems like that's where you would get a lot of users and usually have the most trouble getting it onto the store. But I personally like to set up like a CI/CD workflow where it just puts it everywhere for you automatically.
That's
and
nice.
Then but like I haven't done it that much, so I don't know. I'm not like expert on that yet.
It is really nice to be able to develop it in one spot and have it go everywhere, especially like as the tooling is getting to a point where it does actually feel like you're building native.
Yeah. Darn. Didn't work. It's only with Cloud Firestore.
iOS just isn't having it.
No. Let's try one more. And then if it doesn't work, I'll switch to the Android. Their Android Studio. Yeah, I'll just say to install the dependencies. Oh yeah, I remember one more thing that could work. Let's just have this run in the background while we keep looking. Yeah, I might just have to add an Android app.
Yeah, doesn't hurt.
I told you, I don't know how, it just never gets better for me with the iOS things. Like once I have it set up, I'm good to go. But
right,
with like Xcode and all that stuff, it's just
it could be fragile.
Yeah. One more idea I have is sometimes just trying to run it through Xcode works. Works better. It gives you better errors, if anything. But to set up Android is pretty easy too, so we might as well just start that. Worst case scenario, we'll have it on both. So let's set up Android. Build runner failed. Let's see why. But I swear I installed it.
Strange. So that's already the 45-minute mark.
I'm at the 45-minute mark?
Yeah, it's already been 15 minutes.
Oh, man. All right, maybe. All right.
Maybe we'll start moving with the Android.
And yeah, I just realized I haven't initialized these. Maybe that could definitely be an issue. Once I get these, I'm going to fly through it.
Cool. That's interesting how many services you have to initialize outside of the application environment before you get in there.
Yeah, even though it's only like 2, like Firebase with Flutter, there's still like a lot of different things going on.
Yeah.
But I don't even think that was the problem, to be honest. But we'll enable this so I don't forget. It's email, password, sign up. Yeah, let's add the Android application. Man, that's annoying.
Bummer.
All right. Let's see. So you go into build.gradle. You need to find your app name. This one, update the minimum version to 21 because of something I don't remember. I think
it always is, right?
Yeah, it's like some error with a new update that came out.
Gotcha.
So I'll put it into the app.
It's funny how many little like process things that we like, especially when you're working like with a team, like there's one person that knows how to do that one specific thing or that one specific file that nobody else knows what it does.
Yeah, it's tough. And then we go into our project build.gradle. Just here we have Google. We need Google services.
So these Gradle files are really just kind of setting up the integration to the right IDs and stuff.
Yeah. So this is kind of the like Android side of things. Before we were trying to work with like the like this is where the Android code gets put into pretty much. Here. Android application, add Google services, and all right. Fingers crossed. This works at least. All right.
Got the emulator up.
Yeah. Man, I thought I was gonna be good, but I didn't import the dependencies into the actual project before I did it. I just kind of set up all the backend stuff. I'm like, oh, it's working fine. It's gonna be great.
So right now, is it trying to actually compile the application up into the Android emulator?
Yep. Yes. Yeah. So it's assembling like all the code to Android code into the debug setting.
Oh no.
No way. App Google Services JSON is missing.
So I'm seeing it in that. Yeah. The wrong place?
Maybe. Oh, yes, it is. Oh, sweet. I thought it was in the app directory. It has to be in this app directory, I thought. I put it in the complete Android one.
Is this is VS Code, right?
Yes.
Yeah. I haven't installed it yet, but I heard there's a nice where you actually get like, or you might even have it. I was gonna say there's lines for the directory tree. I need to install that. Looks like
so I have very slight lines that you can kind of see, but
okay.
I probably wasn't paying close enough attention.
Yeah. it's definitely hard to.
Yeah. I think this should definitely work. Just fine. This stuff happens.
I would be freaking out if a note always shows in red, right? Because to me, red is error.
So it's something to do with like depreciated APIs and stuff, but I remember seeing this in it. All right, built.
Yay.
And now it's installing. So yeah, Android always works. There it is.
Nice.
Files, and where's my counter? There
we go.
All right. What a disaster. All right, so authentication. We have in our main file, did I paste that stuff in that we found over here? No, not yet. So overview to initialize Firebase, and copy this. And here it kind of walks you through all the initialization stuff. So you have the app initialized, and then based on whether it was successful or not, it'll do something. So if it has error, we just won't do anything. If it's connected, we will go to, it will check the authentication. Otherwise, just won't return anything either.
Colbyashi Maru isn't the place for error handling.
Yeah. False. What kind of return do we want? Isn't a widget. Return a container then. Container. So then here we want to do our Firebase authentication. So if we go to Firebase auth, overview, I have authentication, next steps, how to use it. You bring it in, create an instance. So final Firebase auth. Doesn't want to import it. That's okay. We'll do it manually.
What does the final keyword mean there?
It makes it so it can't like change. It's just like this instance is the only instance in the application.
Okay.
So you only have one Firebase app in your app, one Firebase like instance, and one Firebase authentication instance as well.
Gotcha.
So then you can list for auth state changes. Okay. And if user is null, user is currently signed out. So then we want to return the login screen. I also want to return the home page.
And do a lot of these screens kind of come by default with like the Flutter and the cloud? What is it?
No.
Fire.
So we set up these pages at the beginning, if you remember, home and login.
Oh, right. Okay.
So that's what those pages are. They just automatically import here.
Cool. Okay.
Then we probably want to give our login an instance. We want to send it the authentication instance. What am I doing? Final Firebase auth. And we need to create a constructor, import this auth dependency. All right, in here, we're going to set up some sort of form. Let's just do it. So I need a scaffold. See where our screen goes to now. We refresh.
Wait for it to kick in.
You might have to restart the app. Yeah, because so the main runs only once. If you add anything into this, since this is a stateless widget, the state doesn't update here. We only ran this once, so you got to rerun it for this specific time. Because it should bring us to the login screen since there's no user currently.
Okay.
And
like any other page that's not stateless, but because this is the app.
Yeah. Oh, that's the login screen. There's nothing in there. So then we got the body. We could add an app bar in here. Well, just say
shout out to Collab TV, Christopher in the chat, gifting out a bunch of subs. Thank you.
This could be the login screen, just so we know we're somewhere. And then the body will be a center widget. What happened? Come on.
So the center is going to actually, like, literally center in the UI.
Yes.
It's interesting to see it like a function.
Yeah, it's really easy in Flutter. Why is it all black? Doesn't make any sense. Let's try again. So here we are looking at our authentication instance. We're looking for any changes and getting the user. If it's null, send it to login. If it's not null, you send it to the home page. So now we should see it when it works. It brings us right to the login screen. And then here, No.
Fingers crossed. No?
Why not? Is there some errors coming out? There is. No Firebase app has been created called Firebase Initialize app. It has. No Firebase app has been created.
It's funny. Usually I can help people debug, but when it's outside of JavaScript, I don't know what to do.
Firebase app default has been created. How does that make sense? All right. I pull up a window of an app that I've done that is working, just so I could see, or I'll go to my GitHub, because I'm pretty sure I have some very similar code there, and it should be working. Slib in the main. The actual future is initialize app. That doesn't seem like it should make that much of a difference, but
the future.
Yeah, I didn't think that would be a game changer there.
Is it close enough to just copy and paste the entire thing?
I think we have the exact same thing though.
Oh, it is the exact same thing.
That's the problem. Let's see. Dang.
Looks like there was I don't know if you caught that. It looks like there was some extra. Yeah, okay. You're grabbing the file itself.
Yeah.
And that's the 30-minute mark.
Not great. All right. So this one's called the demo app.
It's funny, like whenever people hit a roadblock, it's always the build tools that get in the way. It's not the actual project.
Yeah. That's how it is sometimes. All right, log in. So passing the auth here, and then my homepage was the one. This auth class is usually what I have as separated out a little bit, so it's easier to understand. But I have an auth service. Maybe we'll just copy it here as well, just so I got something working. Start.
I don't know if Flutter has the same concept, but that's why I create like Next.js starters, because like there's so many little pieces you have to try to remember each time, and it's.
Yeah, I think that's why I try to challenge myself here a little bit, see if I can remember all those little pieces. But
right.
All right, well, it works here. I don't know what went wrong there, but the code seems really similar. I have a feature builder with an initialize app. That's what I had, and then we check for error, and then if not, we go to a root, which is the same thing here. Except it's we check the authentication, and then we pass in the Firestore instance if we need it.
Nice.
It seems exactly like what I had, or at least very similar, but
right.
I guess not. So then in our center, we are going to have a container and a child. So every widget has either a child or multiple children. And we'll have a column of text form fields. And we'll have 2 of them. And then we'll have a button. where when we press it, we will try to authenticate the person. So auth.
Yeah, Trost makes a good point. Like having the phone emulator on the side makes it more fun because it's kind of cool how it has it up and running and stuff. Where I don't know, the way that I dev at least, like the browser's in the background, and usually the browser needs to be bigger, right? But having the mobile emulator there is cool.
Yeah, so yeah, like I usually use the Mac OS or something else too. So you have like choices for what kind of stuff you want, but I think the
Yeah.
Android emulator works the best most of the time.
And
So
this
we
is probably
have,
a good use case for multiple screens, right?
yeah. Text field controller or something like that. What's the widget I need? Controller. Text editing controller. So this is the email field. We're creating something to control that stuff, to like be able to handle the data that we have in there. And then we have the password field. And controller, email, controller, password. All right, so now we can pass this in here since we have the email field dot text, and then password, we can pass in the password field dot text. So now when we click on the sign in button that doesn't have any text in it, sign in.
Some buttons just don't need text.
Then actually, I think we want to create an account first. So let's create two buttons. One to create an account, one to sign in. So this is create account. This one's sign in. All right. So we got Tadas at tadas.com.
I still can't get over this like super functional looking way to develop the components.
Yeah, it's kind of like
it's interesting.
That's why I really enjoy Flutter. It's just you're just kind of putting pieces everywhere and it just works.
Yeah.
Well, sometimes it works, I guess.
Right.
All right, so I think we create an account and see if it actually worked. No. Do we have enabled the sign in? Yes, we do. Was there some sort of error? There was. Receiver, create user was called on null. Create account, this was called with null. Why is that? So type stuff in again. And then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Create an account. At this point, variables, email, password are not null. The method create username with email and password is called on null. Tried calling with this.
Is that auth object imported or something?
Should be. Maybe we need to await this. But it doesn't seem like that should be it. Receiver null, tried calling. They're calling with the right information, but let's see. All right. Let me go back to this. Not accomplishing it. The challenge is not going as good as I thought it would be.
At least they have the code that you can copy in handy.
Yeah.
Piece it together.
Auth. Oh, that makes sense. So we have the auth. We need to pass in the auth object here, so we can. It's calling the authentication on something, on nothing, pretty much. So we need to pass it in, and there's ways you can make this a little more safe. But yeah, we need to pass in this auth, make it required, so this doesn't happen next time. Well, there's a way to make it required, I swear. It comes after. Whatever. You can make it required. So now create account. And we are able to log in finally.
Nice.
Then if we go to Firebase, we should be able to see the stuff here. Yep.
There we go.
Let's see if, all right. So usually I like to create another user in Firestore as well, but we don't want to do that now.
Makes sense.
I don't know if it's necessary for this. In the home screen, we probably want to do a sign out somewhere. Maybe this button here, instead of incrementing a counter, will sign you out. So auth, we have our auth object not passed in yet, but we can do that. Final Firebase auth there, and it's now the main screen. We need to pass in that authentication, and now we have access to this. You could obviously use some state management solutions to make it a little bit cleaner, but this works. So sign out, and that should sign us out if we click this button.
Nice.
Nice. All
Yay.
right. Now, if we go back to that account that we had, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and I think I put an extra 6 in there at the end. Nice. Maybe we'll log in. All right. In the main screen, we also have a Firestore object, so we want to pass this into Firestore. And we don't currently take a Firestore object in, but we can add that. Firestore, and then pass it in. All right. So we can retrieve, there's this thing called init state. So whenever the screen initializes, we can retrieve some information. Let's say we have a list of, we create a new file called notes.dart. And here we just define a note. We'll have a string of text. This needs to be a class. String of text. What else does a note need? Title. String of title.
Maybe a date too.
Yeah, let's do it. Well, let's get these done first, then we'll add date.
Okay. I know dates can be complicated.
Yeah. So we can have Actually, let's rename this to note, not notes. Just because, I don't know, looks nicer. So we have our notes here. And we create an empty list first. You can just do this and import note. Then here in the body, we can have a, let's change this icon to back icons dot. It's messing up. I think because
does all the iconography come from Material UI?
Yes.
Nice.
So icons dot back. Let's see what backup looks like. No. Arrow back there. Well, this is kind of signing out. We have a list view with a list of children. I think there's a better one called listview.builder. So it builds out a list of things as you retrieve them. So as the list grows, it'll update it and everything.
Oh, nice. Like into the UI?
Yeah. Item builder, context int. And then I think we need item count. Item count will be notes.length. All right.
That's the 15-minute mark.
15 minutes. I got
Are you able to hear that sound in the background?
A little bit.
Were you? Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Item builder. I think this will give us the index. I feel like I remember something better than the item builder. Let's do a quick check. So this is a to-do app, so it's very similar. It's something I built a long time ago, September 2nd, 2020.
Oh, wow.
So it's been a while. So here I was streaming the to-dos directly from the database. And I use a stream builder. And then a list view builder, item builder. All right, I guess I was right. Well, there's no point of pasting it if it's the same. So then I returned a to-do card. So here we'll return just a container for now with our, let's say, I think there's actually a list tile. Oh, and container's fine actually. With a child of column, with some children of a text field with notes index dot title, followed by text with notes index dot text. So not really pretty, but it will do the job. Yeah. So I just need to retrieve these notes from Firestore. And we need an ability to add notes too somewhere. But let's just retrieve them first.
Yeah.
So we have Firebase. We have widget.firestore. We want to go to the notes collection. And we'll go to the document. Usually I name my documents after the UID. So in this case, we'll take the widget.auth.currentUser.uid. And then we'll get collection, we'll get their notes.
So that's basically saying you're creating a new entry for notes, and that the name of that entry is the user's ID, right?
Yeah. So that's how I like to organize the stuff. So this is, we're
Makes
not
sense.
creating it. This is where we're retrieving it. But
Oh,
currently
gotcha.
we're not going to have anything to retrieve, but I could put in, I think I'm going to put in a basic one, and then we'll take the, here, we're going to take the user's UID. I'm going to create a basic notes collection with their UID and whatever. You can store their UID in there. Doesn't really matter. That's not what we're here for. We're here for their specific notes collection. And in here, you can have whatever ID. We're going to have the title, note 1.
And Dick just asks, yeah, that is the UID that he's using to organize the collections.
Sweet. I love this first note. All right. So that we have a note. Normally, I mean, you would want to add a function. I don't know if we'll get to it, but like had a plus somewhere where you could upload it in a very similar way where you could set that collection. So here we want to I want to map it. Well, first, let's retrieve it. And this gives you a future query snapshot.
That means there's 10 minutes left.
Dependent did change dependencies. Man, that's some scary. That's intimidating.
It's from Star Trek.
All right. So I mean, I like to make sure my types are always correct. So future query snapshot. Your documents are in here, and we want to await those. So the reason I changed that, the reason I changed, I changed from init state to did change dependencies because init state can't be, you can't have futures in there. With did change dependencies, you can. So init state only happens once. You can't really have anything that waits on anything, but with dependencies changing, you can kind of wait on stuff. Then documents, you get the docs out of each of them, and then you can map.
This is the language is Dart, right? So is Dart typed by default then?
Yes. So this, you get each document. Damn. And you can go through each of those. E.data. I don't remember the actual syntax. Return E.dot, I think.
So we have a
let's
question.
just run it. Let's just, what's up?
Is Dart garbage collected?
I don't remember. I think so. I want to say I believe so, but I can't. I'm not too sure, to be honest. E.id. We're going to set a breakpoint here and then see what kind of data we get. And if we rerun it, hit there and execute. Why not? All right, so that happens, and then we have some issue with retrieving the data, it seems. Callback not found. What does that mean? Maybe it didn't find, oh, here we have the document. So it did find it. We have the documents, we have the data in here. We have the ID. Path notes. Where's the data information? I think it might be a future, so you might, oh no, here it is, data. So text, we have all that information there.
Oh, nice. I didn't realize you could see it right like that. That's interesting.
Yeah. So get docs.data. Actually, I think might make more sense. It's just doing docs.data and then mapping that. No. Okay. We're close. E.data. We have a notes. Is that 5 minutes?
That is 5 minutes.
Okay, okay. Almost there. Notes.add note. So we have title. Oh, we can just add it. So e.data. Title. Then text. What's going on here? Expected 0, but found 2. Oh. Note. This dot text. This dot title.
I'm gonna hold my questions until after, so you can have your full 4 minutes left.
All right. Come on, show it to me. Something's not firing in here. Let's see what is going on. I think services, database, stream to-dos, collection. No, let's just get a stream of to-dos. Ah, no, those are difficult. So file document inquiry.docs. Add notes.add note. eData.title. Does that work? Print E. I think I'm doing something wrong over here.
Mm.
For document Firebase document and documents.docs. What type does this return? Query snapshot document. Query document snapshot. Print document. All right, going back to the old print statements.
Nothing like a console log.
Document dot data. All right. Notes dot add note. All right, dot text.
1 minute.
I got this. All right. Notes dot document. I actually had this right over here. I was just not mapping it correctly. Document. Document. I want this to be the title. All right. Save it. What do we got? Oh, set state.
10 seconds.
Done.
Oh, it's there.
Oh, man.
That's amazing. I think that was like the closest like to actually getting something up on the screen. That was amazing.
I did it.
Nice work. Nice work.
Yeah, it could be better, but it works. Like parts of it work. So now if you you can add the notes in manually, but ideally you'd probably want to add notes in like, you know, through the app, but it does that's not much harder. So like you could add a title, note 2, and then with text saying something like, I don't know, whatever. And if you save it, we're not streaming the data, so it won't update like that. But if you refresh, then it should log in and you should see the second note. There
nice. We go. Lovely. That's awesome.
Oh man, close call.
Nice job. Yeah, right at the wire there. That was beautiful. I love that timing. But yeah, nice job. Do you want to just quickly kind of walk through what all you did?
Yeah, I had to rush a little bit there since the things weren't working. But so yeah, let's go through the app now. So let me organize this real quick too.
No worries.
Because I think that is better to understand. So we have models. Oh, that's not it. I usually create a folder called models. So this note is a model of data. So we can keep that organized and then have a new folder called services. And VS Code updates all of them accordingly. Some main kind of had an error, but it updates the paths everywhere. So this is how it works. So we have the main, which is, the main file where the entry point of your application is. This is where I like to usually, I try to keep the main as simple as possible and as minimal as possible. I usually like to have another file called like app.dart where all the like background logic of setting up databases, setting up all that stuff where I do that, but we just did it in the same file. So here we have a future builder. This basically builds your UI based on the status of your future. So let's say you retrieve a feature, the status gets updated, your UI gets rebuilt. If it has an error, we put out an error screen. If it's loading, we have a loading screen. And once it's a complete connection, it means we're connected to Firebase overall. We go to the root of our app. And here is where we figure out all the Firebase Authentication, and Firestore part of it. So we create an instance for each. We have a stream builder, which is very similar to a future builder, but it changes based on the stream value. So if you're getting new data, I like to have a stream builder for authentication in case anything happens with where our authentication, like if we get this authenticated or anything, your everything gets updated, so you can't. It makes it a lot safer.
That is nice.
Yeah, and then that's based on a stream of authentication, which we kind of cheated on this part. We brought it in. This just kind of gets the current user state and tracks any changes for that. So based on if we're logged in already, it takes us to the, if we're not logged in, so if our UID of our user is nothing, we can't find it, we go to the login. If we do have it, then we go to the main homepage screen. So the login uses these three authentication functions. So create account, sign in, sign out. Firebase provides these. So this auth object is our Firebase auth object. It provides these simple to use functions: create user with email and password, sign in with email and password, and then sign out. There's a tiny bit of error handling here with like try and catch. So if there's any, let's say we're not able to sign in with email and password, we get a Firebase auth exception. So in that message, it'll tell you stuff like you weren't able to sign in because the email doesn't exist, or some other thing like that. We use that within the login screen. So here we created a screen with an app bar called login. If we sign out, we got login screen, and then we have two text form fields, which each have a controller, which allows you to access the content in there, manipulate it, whatever you want. We have two buttons, one to create an account, one to sign in. And then if you create an account or sign in, it uses those services we created. Then once you're signed in, we have our home screen, and then we have a model called notes. So this is nothing more than just holding data. We create a nice little list of these notes, so we can have a list of data that's kind of easy to parse. We use this dependencies, did change dependencies, so we can synchronously get data whenever our dependencies change. So I don't know what kind of stuff that entails, but it's kind of it when you initialize it, it runs on initialization, and then if anything changes, like if any parameters that you're passing in change, it updates it as well.
Makes sense.
So remember how I told you at the beginning, there's two main widgets, the stateless and then the stateful widgets.
Mm-hmm.
So stateless doesn't update, stateful widgets do update, and they update whenever you call this set state function. So that's why we're calling it. This is not the most efficient. I'd say we probably want to call it outside of here. So when we have multiple notes, this will update our UI after every single note. But in this case, it updates. Let's see if it still works. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 6. Sign in. Yeah, definitely still works.
There we go. Nice.
So the set state updates your stateful widget. So it rebuilds the UI whenever you call this. So here we go through all the documents we get from Firestore, and we add them to this list of notes. And once it's added here, we update the UI of our app. This widget build is where the UI exists. So we have our app bar here, and then we have a list that displays all these notes. At the beginning, before, if we don't call this set state function, you'll see it will always just display nothing because the UI never updated. But then you do call that set state function. Now it first doesn't update and then updates. And then we have a sign out button here. So I think that's pretty much it.
Yeah, that's awesome. It's it's amazing to see what Flutter actually looks like in practice, because this is the first time I've ever seen anything regarding. This is the first time I've also seen Dart, so it's been a whole new experience for me.
What do you think about it?
It's interesting. I don't know. I really like the way that React looks with the like HTML-ness of it, but it is very like, I like how straightforward it is to like piece together the different components, like the text form field there you see there and such. But it's interesting.
I've been working a lot with Next.js this past like month, month and a half maybe, and it makes me miss Flutter. I think maybe it's because I
Yeah.
got used to it or anything, but I just dislike all the. There's so many mixtures of languages like JSX, like HTML, CSS, all that
Mhm.
stuff, and it's just like a big mixture. Here, it's all like one thing, and you're just putting pieces together, kind of.
Yeah. No, that makes sense. It's funny. I'm the opposite, but it's just because I've been doing that
Yeah,
for forever. But
yeah, yeah.
yeah, well, awesome. Like I appreciate you coming on here and doing everything. And I'd like to also thank everybody else for joining you today. Tadas, I'd like to thank you for accepting the challenge to face off on Colbyashi Maru. Everybody, please make sure you go and check out Tadas's YouTube channel where you can find a ton of awesome, great information about Flutter. That's at youtube.com/TadasPetra. Next week, we're going to have Sean Keegan, who will face off against testing APIs with Postman. So, Tadas, before we head out, any last words?
Thank you for having me. Even though I struggle a little bit, I'm happy we accomplished something and we got at least part of the application working. So thank
Absolutely.
you
We
for
made
that.
it right at the wire there.
Yeah.
So, I'm going to see if I can find anybody to raid. Let's see if anybody pops up. Looks like my friend Alex Trost is currently streaming his component carousel. So, I'm going to send everybody that way. But thanks again, Tadas. Thanks everybody for joining. And this is Colby signing off.